Good evening, friends. This is Charles Kuhn from the Potchefstroom Methodist Church. I thought that today I would just like to share with you a few thoughts as we wrap up 2020, which was a totally different year for all of us, I believe. Today, traditionally, we would have had a watch night service in the Potchefstroom Methodist Church and in most Methodist churches across the world as well. But of course, because of COVID-19, that is virtually impossible. So I thought, let me just share with you a few thoughts as we wrap up 2021. I want to first of all read from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verses 1 to 13. The author writes, "There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God." And then from the Gospel of Matthew, and I encourage you to read the whole Gospel of Matthew. It comprises of 3 parables: the parable of the 10 virgins, then the parable of the bags of gold or the talents, and then the last parable is the parable of the sheep and the goats. And I want to just read a few verses from there. "When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me.'" And then, of course, the righteous goes on to ask him, "When did we ever see you like this?" And then he says to them, "I was hungry and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink," etc. And then they ask him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes or sick or in prison and did not help you?" And then he replies, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me." Some frightening words from those scriptures. But Watch Night, the 31st of December, is really another night to gather together to worship and to hope. Watch Night is not simply the culmination of the Advent and the Christmas series, but it's really about a new beginning. It is an opportunity to set a course for the journey that continues. But this course setting is less about a route or even a destination, since really God is the destination, but it is more about the mode of transport. And you may ask me, mode? What does that mean? And perhaps the word mood works better, or attitude. Watch Night helps us declare how we will travel. Our text from the Hebrew Scriptures is familiar, but often misunderstood. Ecclesiastes 3, verses 1 to 13, is well known, in part, I think, thanks to that great 60s band, The Byrds. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time for every purpose under heaven. It sounds almost like a whatever will be kind of thought. Everything happens as it is supposed to happen when it happens. And there is fatalism in these verses for some, predestination for others. But neither has to be found there. The preacher is pointing out a hard truth and then offering an invitation. The hard truth is that stuff happens. This year, 2020, we know that more than ever. We have another phrase, I know, but stuff works best here. And we don't know why stuff happens, good stuff or bad stuff. That's the ignorance that the preacher refers to in verse 11. We don't know why or whether God sends or doesn't send stuff. And really it is futile to try and figure it out. Wisdom literature from the Bible is full of this futility. If you think you can figure out what God is doing in the stuff of this world, go spend some time with Job. That's the hard truth. And given that truth, what can we do? Give up? That's one option. Just give up and do what you want. Many have taken that route. But that's not the only option. Nor is it the one that the preacher advocates. I know that there is nothing better for them than to be happy and enjoy themselves as long as they live. Moreover, it is God's gift that all should eat and drink and take pleasure in all their toil. Verses 12 and 13 of Ecclesiastes 3. That's a summation of this daunting text. So what's the invitation? To live, my friends. The invitation is to live. We are called to live fully, to live aware, to live alive. Jesus says in John that he has come that we might have life and have it abundantly. The invitation is to live every moment. We are to live the good moments in celebration and joy. The difficult ones in prayer and in confidence that we are not alone, but alive in suffering as well as in prosperity. And then Matthew 25 takes it even further. It's the same idea, just deeper. To live alive, Jesus says in the gospel text, is to live connected to those who hurt, to those who need, to those who have been pushed to the margins of our society. The invitation is to live outwardly, seeing all the people and being present in ways that bring relief and bring hope. Watch Night is about wanting to see Jesus in the year that stretches out in front of us, 2021. Matthew 25 tells us how to be sure to see Jesus in the coming year. It is about making a commitment to live fully engaged, not turning away from brokenness or difficulty, from suffering or need, but ready to meet them where they are. So my closing question is simply, are we there yet? Are we there yet? To what will you commit yourself in 2021? I end with 2 verses from that well-known hymn that we normally sing on the last day of the year. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, be thou our guide while troubles last, and our eternal home. Amen. And have a blessed 2021, my friends. Go well.